Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the press conference for the presentation of Adrien Rabiot. Please introduce yourself and a newspaper and TV that you present, and one question at a time to facilitate the translation. Good morning. If you have any questions, I'm here and we are ready to start. Good morning, Adrien, Sky Sport, Francesco Fossati. I would like to ask you, why did you choose Juventus? I know that the negotiations have been quite long, so they have tried several times to sign you. So why it is here? So how were you convinced this time to come to Juventus? Well, that's true. We have had several contacts with Juventus also in the past, but it was a different time of my life, a different period for me, while now was the right time for me to come here, and that's why I'm here. Good morning, Romeo Greci, Goal.com. So I would like to ask you if you asked for any advice to Gigi Buffon before coming here, and what about your feelings to find him here as a teammate? Well, I had to tell you that in the past season, I talked a lot to Gigi. We had the opportunity to speak, and he gave me lots of suggestions and advice. Of course, he talked a lot about Juventus as well, because he knows very well the team and the club, and obviously it was the best person I could talk about this. Obviously, his opinion matters a lot to me, because Gigi is a person I have been spending great season, not only as a teammate, but also from a personal point of view, as a friend of mine. So certainly he played a role as well. Good morning, La Stampa. I would like to ask you, this is the first time that you leave France, that you leave Paris Saint-Germain. So what do you expect from Serie A? What do you expect from Juventus? And what is the main challenge that you will have to embrace here? Well, it's true. Actually, I spent 7 years in Paris as a professional football player. So the first time I decided to play in a different league, but my determination is always the same, of course. So now I'm going to play in the Serie A with Juventus, but nothing will change. I will always do my best, and I will be as determined and committed as before. I will be working hard to help the club and to go ahead together. Hello, Adrien. Fabrizio Ferrero, Media said. I would like to ask a couple of questions. The first, before we talked about Buffon and the fact that he talked about Juventus and probably told you about the history of Juventus and also the atmosphere that he had when he played here. So what about Sarri? Have you already met him? Do you know what kind of person he is? Well, actually, I haven't met him yet, so I haven't had the opportunity to talk to Sarri yet. But the people that I have met so far at Juventus have just left a very positive impression indeed. So I think that his figure as a coach definitely corresponds to the image and reputation of this team. So obviously, I will be more than willing to listen to him, and I'm absolutely sure that the club has made a great decision for the future of the team. I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm pretty sure that we'll get on with each other. So as to your role, what is the position on the pitch that you believe could be the best for you, that you think could enhance your skills? And what is the number of the jersey that you have chosen, and why? Well, as to my favorite position, I think you know it very well. So it's on the left flank as a midfielder, of course, but clearly I've always played with three, but I could also play with two, as it happened in the last season at PSG. So I often played in that position, in that role. But again, as I said before, I'm very flexible. I can adapt to the team's needs, but that's my favorite position, that is playing on the left if we are in three. And as to the number of the shirt, of the jersey, it's always 25. Thank you. Good morning, Adrien. C'est mon Sport. So obviously my question will be in French. So today you're going to start your new life, but in the last 6 months have been quite strange for you because you didn't have the opportunity to play and to train. So I would like to talk about these last 6 months, and I would like to know if for you now you're going to turn the page and so a new life is about to start, a new chapter. Yes, it's true. I have to say that the last 6 months have been rather complicated, both from a sporting point of view, but also from a professional and emotional, personal and emotional point of view. So from a sporting point of view, I have to say that these things might happen, of course. These are things that normally can happen in this sector, can happen in football. So I was quite ready for these things to occur. But now that chapter is closed. As you correctly pointed out, it's a new adventure. It's a very nice adventure that I'm going to embark upon. So I truly hope I will be able to do my best. I do want to do my best, of course. So I want just to leave the past behind me. Obviously, I would have rather preferred to conclude the previous phase in a better way, but actually did not depend on me only, and that's how it went. Good morning, Adrien. Tempo Terzi, Équipe France Football. So Leonardo came to PSG and I tried to retain you until the very last minute. What happened? Well, yes, he took some contact. He got in contact with my agent. Well, he introduced and he just wanted to understand how the things were, so just to figure out what the situation was. But I didn't receive any offers, as I heard. Actually, there was no attempt to retain me at PSG. In my opinion, he just wanted to understand the situation of the last few months, but he actually realized that it was all over. Another question. So new club, new adventure. So this means that you're going to turn the page, but this new signing probably will reposition you in relation to the French national team. So did you talk to the coach of the French national team? Well, my decision to come here was not to go, but nonetheless, of course, I'm still a French football player. So obviously, if my performance is good, certainly I will be one of the options, I hope. So I will be more than glad to play for the French national team. Welcome. Gruppo Diapason. So I would like to ask you, so when the negotiation with Juventus finally became something tangible, and the fact that the black and white jerseys has been worn by lots of French players, Platini, Pogba, Deschamps, and many others. So what about this effect on you? Well, I have to tell you that the final decision became tangible a little time ago. It was very fast, I have to confess, because we finally reached an agreement in a quite short time, so we didn't have any problems at all. As to the great French players that have played here at Juventus, well, obviously, this club has a great history, great background, which means that throughout its history, many great French players have played here, and I hope that as a French player, I will be able to give my contribution as well. Hello, Adrien, Timothy Ormezzano from Corriere della Sera and Lego. I would like to ask you a question about, again, the French players here. There is Matuidi, so I would like to know if you have already had the chance to talk to him, as it was one of your teammates at Paris Saint-Germain, and maybe might be a little concerned, a bit worried about your competition as you play as a left-wing half. Well, you're right. Blaise played with me for several years, so of course we get on with each other very well. Well, it's true that I'm a new player here at Juventus, and I know there are many other players and also players that play in the same role that I have, but that's something that normally happens, whether it is with Blaise or someone else. Nothing really changes. Certainly doesn't change our relationships and the great friendship that I have with Blaise. And of course, when we talk about the pitch, it's something different. Good morning, Fabiana Della Valle, Gazzetta dello Sport. So in an interview some time ago, you said that Juventus has reached the Champions final twice in the last few years and acquired a great international experience. That's something that PSG lacked. So is this one of the reasons why you decided to come to Juventus, so trying to get to the Champions League's final? Well, I don't remember this interview, to be honest, but I will answer your question anyway. Well, certainly it's a great, prestigious club, for sure, and this means that it has great international experience, even if in the last few years they had some problems in the Champions League, but certainly they've always reached the last phases of the Champions League, and therefore, in my view, in my opinion, is a level higher than PSG, and that's why it was particularly inspirational for me, and I made this decision. Martino Villosio for Rai, I'm here. In Italy, we've been talking in the last few months about the role that Veronique, your mom, has played in your choices, in your decisions. So do you confirm this kind of legend, this kind of myth, or anyway, this influence, this weight that your mom has in your choices, your decisions, and how much did she influence your decision to come to Juventus? Well, I have to say that in the sporting sector, well, actually, she's my agent, so obviously she does play an important role because we work together and she helps me. She helps me a lot in the way agents normally help the players. Then as to what concerns the relations between a mother and a son, that's something different, of course. But I can tell you that as to our relationship in the football sector, obviously, she plays an important role because she's my agent, so she's always close to me. So we work together very well from this point of view. So obviously, we have an important relationship from this point of view. Welcome, Antonio Paolino, Radio Bianconera. So a couple of questions for you. The first, among all the things that you have talked about with Buffon, probably the most curious or most interesting thing that you would like to disclose to us that finally convinced you to come to Juventus? Well, apart... So you would like to know exactly what did you talk about? Anything curious, anything funny that Buffon told you about Juventus? Thank you. Well, he told me lots of interesting things about Juventus, and especially that if I wanted to make further progress and to go further in my career, that would be the best way to achieve that, and at least to spend a couple of seasons at Juventus, because certainly they have a great added value compared to other clubs. And so I took this advice very seriously, and I often listen to him because he has got a great experience. Actually, there are many reasons why I decided to come here, but some of the things that Gigi told me made me think carefully about this. So he was persuasive, that's right. He played a role. So, without repeating what you have already said, Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain are two clubs that aim at winning the Champions League for a very long time. So, how do you leave the Champions League in France? So, Paris Saint-Germain couldn't achieve that, while Juventus got much closer in the past years. So, in your opinion, as a football player, what do you think Paris Saint-Germain needed to win, and what do you think from this year onwards, also with you playing at Juventus, is necessary for Juventus to win the Champions League, or at least reach that goal as close as possible? Well, certainly, considering the season that I had in the PSG, it's quite difficult to answer this question, because as you all know, it was a rather complicated season. As to the Champions League and PSG, well, I worked a lot with PSG. I spent many years with them, and I have to say that the Champions League is not something that comes overnight. You need lots of experience that you need to accumulate season after season. As to Juventus, clearly, I am here and I want to do my best. I'm absolutely available to help the club to reach the target, and the Champions League is one of these important targets, one of the most important targets. In my opinion, we must be very focused, very concentrated, but not only on this, of course. So we need to go through the season gradually, step by step. So I have come here with the aim of giving my contribution, of doing my best in order to help the club. Then, of course, if we win, all the best, and I do want to contribute to this victory. Fabio Riva, Tutto Sport. Hello, good morning. Two questions. The first is linked with the fact that you played with a lot of great champions, also Ibrahimovic, and you had quite an intense relationship with him, and now also Ronaldo. So the fact that if coming here you would find such a great champion was also another factor that convinced you to come to Juventus? Well, I have to say that I certainly had the opportunity to grow up a lot by playing with great champions, with top players that certainly helped me a lot to improve and to make progress in terms of performance, in terms of quality of my play. Well, certainly Ronaldo is a great champion, and there are many others, not only him. And so obviously this had a role, this has a certain weight in my decision, because I was aware of the fact that it's a great club, that in the atmosphere in the dressing room is very positive, because there are all professional players where the relationships are very good, and so they all get on with each other. So obviously in Europe, when we consider great clubs, there are top players everywhere, but at Juventus there are definitely many, and this is certainly very important to me. Adrien, still Ferrero from Mediaset. One curiosity. Yesterday for you was a very long day at the J Medical, 8 years, but probably in addition to all the medical visits, did you know something more about Juventus? Because I don't know if you had the opportunity to meet Marchisio. Yesterday there was a fundamental player in the midfield of Juventus. There was also Adrien Rabiot, that was also... is going to be your teammate. So did you have the opportunity to talk to them? Well, yes, I met Ramsey. That's right. but I was undergoing all the visits and examinations and actually was working in something different. So we just met each other quickly, but we didn't really have the chance to talk to each other. We just say hello to each other, but I do believe that we have many other opportunities in the future to talk more extensively. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.